Hey guys, it's your boy Fiscon here with another game. This one in particular is one that I enjoy quite a bit and that I didn't think would actually work on the Steam Deck, at least natively on the platform rather than streaming it. It works, and it works pretty good, but it doesn't work with a ton of stuff going on. If you're a Space Engineers fan, you know, I'm over here with my 3K hours, you know. You like to build big, and that's something you can't really do on the Steam Deck, but what's impressive is you can build, you can do everything, and it's insane what you can do, but you can also stream. So I could stream from my PC to this deck, which is a huge option here because you can play Space Engineers, which those of you who know what it is, there's a ton of controls. You can honestly play it. And here I'm running it native, so I'm running it off the Steam Deck, and I'm going to show you how it performs and stuff like that. And then if you wanted to stream it off your Steam Deck, you absolutely could with this layout. You might have to add a few keys that I'll make suggestions for, but the idea here is that not only does it work on the deck, but it would work even better if you were to stream it. Now, if you don't have an internet connection, you're not playing online, so you're playing solo anyways. But anyways, moving on. So we've started the game and there's a black screen. This bummed me out because I sat here for a minute and I waited, but then I just hit A and it loaded. I don't know what's going on there, but there's a black screen. And so before we get into the controls, I'm just going to load a game and walk around and show you how it works. But in this case, we do use the joystick as the mouse because our mouse pad here, our touchpad, is being used as a radial wheel. And it is harder to navigate with the joystick than it is with the mouse pad. But it's something that I'm willing to give up on for the capabilities of the radial menu. So we'll load Green Station. That has a few small ships. It has the green station, the red ship, and the blue ship. Definitely creative. Oh, I made noises again. My bad, guys. Enable copy paste. What's that? Spiders? No, we don't need that. Okay, we'll just go with that. So when it comes to controlling your character and stuff like that, using the joysticks, it's super smooth. And once you activate your jetpack, you get, what do they call that? That third dimension or sixth dimension, where you can rotate as well. You use your bumpers for that. There's a lot of controls to Star Citizen. It's a game I would honestly recommend you play with a keyboard and mouse, but the idea of the Steam Deck is on the go. You just whip it out and go to town. And so here we're inside the station right now, and you know, we just logged in. There's like no lag. We can turn on our lights. We can go through our doors. We can check out the station. It's actually working really well. Again, knowing Space Engineers, this is in the state where nothing's going on, nothing's crashing, no guns are shooting, no meteors are coming down, nobody's launching missiles at you and stuff, and it runs well. And it generally will run well like this. But once you start really crashing things, you'll start to get the warning message. The game lets you know, hey, you know, simulation is going to slow down, stuff like that. So it's not impervious by any means, but it's crazy that it works. All right, we're outside. To enable our jetpack, we're going to click on the right joystick, and then you see down there that enables our jetpack, and then you can click A to go up, and then you can change your direction, your roll with the L1 and R1 bumpers. Dope. And yeah, so that's how you move. A to go up. You can also hit R5 to go up, B to go down. Now when it comes to things like building, you can build. So your main key for that is going to be your second menu button. You click it once to move to select your first block, right? And then you click it a second time to select the next block, and you keep clicking. If you want to change menus, you know how we have the 1 through 10 at the bottom, you click and hold, and then you just repeat. Now the thing about this is it only goes one way, and that sucks. But remember, you're operating on a device like the Steam Deck, and it has limitations, and the fact is these are those limitations, and you're still able to, you know, not nearly as efficiently, but you're still able to do it. Now, the guy who made this layout, he made it for a PS5 controller, and as such, he did an amazing job. I added a few things like the build menu because I couldn't figure out how to get it. That's weird. That worked earlier. Oh, I'm in the that didn't happen last time. Last time I was not in the search menu. So if you're in the search menu, when you hit your hotkeys, it'll type the letter. Yeah, there we go. So now I'm in my next menu. Left click. Get my blocks. Whoops. Oh, we don't need to go all the way over there. See, this is what I'm talking about. You skip one, you got to go all the way around. I hit the start button to exit out of there. But now we're on our build menu, and then I just hit it once to come around. So I just got to keep going until I come back. So I want to make a loop, so I got to use the D-pad. The D-pad's going to change your orientation. So there's two types of clicks that the D-pad's set up with. One is the single click, and then the long press. The long press in this case on the right enables, it doesn't enable symmetry, it changes the symmetry type. So you notice how that red bar moves, then changes to green. That's because my symmetry type is moving. To enable and disable symmetry, you long press the left arrow. The reason it turns on is just because you enable it. So, down arrow, I don't know what down arrow does. Can't remember. Okay, that's a different type. Okay, so the down arrow and the up arrow are the other two rotations. So you see here there's 4 arrows, and then there's insert and page up. I believe insert and page up are the long press up and long press down. Could be wrong, but all the movements here, that's what matters. It just takes some practice. Whoops. And then here we go again. We're seeing the downfall of having to click all the way around. I think I can actually empty my hand. So if I go over here, right, and then I click empty hand. Nope, never mind, disregard. I thought it would bring me back to 1. So yeah, I get that this isn't much, but it's a proof of concept. If you just wanted to play on your bed instead of on your PC or whatever, it's fully plausible. Like 100% you can do this. And then what are the limitations in the Steam Deck? There's quite a few, so we'll go over here and try out this fighter. We'll do the one in the back. Oh, landing gear. To enable landing gear, you click and hold the right joystick. You can see my, oh no, that's my dampeners. I'm sorry, you click and hold B. So clicking and holding B will enable and disable your landing gear. I think X also. Yeah, so you can do X or trigger. The reason it said can't place block is because I utilized the trigger instead of the F key, and the F key is assigned to X. So by default, this isn't on the landing pad. To go into third person, we access our radial wheel, not meal. We're not going to eat this. But you can see it's all titled out. So HUD, helmet, broadcast, scenario, scroll, third person. And then I added a long press to the L4 or L5 right here. So when you long press this, it activates the Alt key, and then you can then, look around. Because I didn't see an Alt key. I don't have anything for zoom out yet. I don't know if that's possible. It might just, no. Yeah, that didn't work. But we're looking at that landing gear right now. And then long press B. Guess not. Let's double check. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Y. It should be long press B. Let's double check to make sure. Buttons. What you doing there, bud? Double press. not long press. That makes sense. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it makes sense that it's not long press, because long press would prevent us from going down. So what is... Real quick, I want to check another thing. So build mode is long press. Oh. As you can see, this is a really in-depth, what's the word I'm looking for? Keybind layout. But the thing about Space Engineers is that it's got an in-depth control scheme to begin with. It's not a game you can just jump in and play. It takes a minute to learn how to build, and it takes a minute to learn how to build well. And so learning how to do it on controller is obviously going to take time as well. This is where those scenarios where like having to come all the way around sucks. Oh, and then once you select the camera, for example, so the camera's in slot 4, and the reason we switched to the camera without pressing any buttons is because when we pressed this down, it activated, whoops, I did it again. Again, the downfall. So the reason it did that is because once I activate this button, it switched to the camera and it just turned it on automatically. So that is another weird thing, but here I am, I can shoot, I can exit the camera by hitting X. And again, the problem with this is that once we want to switch to like missiles, we have to come all the way around in order to switch back. What was that? Performance issues. So that was just hitting with a small fighter. Whoops. You know what I mean? That was just a small fighter that hit this ship, and it didn't even really do a dent, and we had performance issues. So this is another part where it's going to be rough, which is why I say I think this works out relatively well. You can play single player. It's fun. You know, if you don't have internet connection, you're going to do single player anyways if you're going to play this, because you don't have internet, which would imply if you did have internet, you could stream it as long as your internet's good enough. So this is a game I definitely think is great for streaming because, oh, I passed the, yeah, there you are. Because the control layout is great. It works. You can build, you can add on to it, you can expand it to customize it. With all the games, you can always customize it and stuff, but in particular, it is very doable for a game like Space Engineers, because Space Engineers is crazy hard. What just hit me? Did I consume it? Where'd the ship go? Oh well. Anyways, you know what? Let's actually go to the cockpit. We're gonna go back upstairs. Meow. Meow. I'm lost. I haven't played in the new Big Red. I mean, I've played in it, but I've never used it, really. Whoa, what did I do? Yeah, and so that's Space Engineers on the Steam Deck. Let's take a look at the control layout, because I honestly think that the creator of this layout is the whole reason this game is plausible on the Steam Deck. So it wasn't for the guy that made it for his PS5. This wouldn't be, I wouldn't have taken this task myself. This is insane what I'm about to show you guys. So let's zoom in real quick, pull up Steam. Whoops. So this is what you can see at the surface level. So I guess we'll start in the top left. So the roll key, he titles. So not only does he assign the hotkey. So in Steam you can do with your controller layouts. You can assign a hotkey and then you can name that hotkey. It also names it, which for example for the radial menu, that's what tells you what it is. So because he's named the V key first person / third person, when we hover over it, it shows us that. And so when you look at this at a glance, there is a ton going on, and it's not everything. So the things you're going to be missing is you won't have access by default to the G key. In game, the G key pulls up your toolbar menu, so you can then assign blocks, which doesn't make sense because he has everything else set up. So I'm not sure if he had it set to a different key that didn't translate to the Steam Deck, and I think that's probably what happened. So what I did is I just went in here and I added it to the trackpad. I did it on the right one. I just threw it in there. I just put F10. I didn't even name it. I'm sorry, I did name it. So for radial menu button 6, I named it toolbar menu, and then I added the F10 button as well for pasting. That's another thing. Copying and pasting is not something you can do at the moment. So what I'm thinking of doing is assigning. So the thing for copy and paste is you need, I believe it's Control C and then Control V or X. It's been a minute. So you would have to do. See how I have long press here, Alt key? You'd have to make maybe like a long press L4 key and then make it Control. And then you just get a C key somewhere. And then you would hit the long press and then the C key and then you copy and then you need a paste key. So this is something you could easily do. But anyways, back to where we were. We got sidetracked. So in the top we have our roll, left and right, we have our tool menu select, we have our escape key, then in the back we have our L4, which is our R, in the bottom we have our L5, which is by default the B key, but then I added the long press Alt key, which I did that so that way when you're in third person you can then hold the L5 key down and then move the joystick on the right to then change your views. On the right we have R4 for the P key, which doubles as your landing gear. Interesting, you might be able to change that to something more useful. Didn't even think of that, because these are just a mimic of the AB XY, I think. I didn't even notice that. Then your R5 is your space key. So then your radial menus. From your radial menu, you can control on the left menu, you control your view, your HUD, your helmet, your broadcast. Your scenario settings, your scroll up and your scroll down with the wheel, the mouse wheel. On your directional pad over here, you control the rotation of the block, and then you also control symmetry mode, and you do that with the left by holding down the left button, the left arrow, and then holding down the right arrow. With the right arrow you can modify which type of symmetry mode you're in, and then with the left arrow you can turn it on and off. With your left joystick you have movement, and then you click once to sprint, click and hold, you click once let's double check that because I can't remember, because I feel like click and hold is to empty your hand. Edit layout, joystick. So clicking once is to sprint, long press is to empty what's in your hand, and all that is when you have a block selected, you click and hold and you just go empty, so you can then use your trigger to activate things like doors and etc. Whoops, did it again. So then on your right joystick we only have 2 settings, and so it acts as a joystick mouse so that we can move around and see obviously. So you saw that in use, but then you click once to turn on and off your jetpack, and you click and hold to disable and enable inertial dampeners. And then for your A, B, X, Y, these ones we're going to pull up because they again have some modifications. Or I'm sorry, some double, what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know what to call it. Extra commands. So for A, you have the space key, which is your jump. B is crouch, and then double pressing B, which we showed, is landing gear. X is your use key, or F. Holding long enables build mode, so that just changes the modes when you're building. And then Y is your inventory, and long press is your cube size, so small grid, large grid. Oh, wrong spot. We'll go over to trackpad. So the right one, your first menu button is going to be your power switch, signal mode, light toggle, reset orientation, voxel hand, and that's all you're going to have. With the community layout, you can add the G button here. That's what I would suggest, and then F10. And the reason I have F10 in here is because when you can click and hold Alt, hit F10, you access the admin menu. Then you back out of that and you just hit F10, you access the blueprint menu. Now again, you won't be able to use copy and paste in a survival setting, but if you aren't in a survival setting, you can't use copy and paste even if you wanted to. Whoops, sorry. So, alright guys, that's a layout of the keys, a layout of how to play the game, I guess you could say that, on the Steam Deck. The fact that it works running on the Steam Deck, this is not streamed, this is running natively on the Steam Deck right now, and that this device can handle it just with the added touchpads. And the fact is, you could play Space Engineers with a PS5 controller, so I'm sure you can play it with a Steam Deck. It's just wild to see it in person in such a small form factor. Alright guys, thanks for stopping by. Catch you in the next one.